spent with his family, I realized it didn't come from the fire department. He got it from home. He got it from his family.
Emotional words from Irmo Fire Chief Mike Sonnenfeld as his department and firefighters from across the country honored fallen firefighter James Muller. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us for News 19 at 6. I'm Darcy Strickland.
And I'm J.R. Berry. We begin tonight with today's funeral services, which were attended by firefighters from all across the country today. Before that service got underway, a procession made its way across the Lake Murray Dam. Muller's casket draped in the American flag on his final ride on the back of an Irmo fire truck. This is drone footage about halfway along that processional today as it made its way from the Kaufman Harmon Funeral Home in Lexington to Riverland Hills Church, located on Lake Murray Boulevard. You can see there was a police escort followed by the fire truck there and a few vehicles from the Irmo Fire District. Just an emotional sight, seeing that fire truck crossing the dam with the casket on top.
We begin this evening with team coverage from the crowds that were gathered along the streets to inside that memorial service. Sam Perez joins us now as members of the firefighting community came from across the country to honor Muller's life.
Yes, Darcy, JR, here at Riverland Hills Baptist Church, every seat was filled and people were standing up in the back as over 2,000 attendees came to honor the life of fallen firefighter James Muller. Fire personnel from more than 75 departments across the country came to pay respects. There were attendees from Ohio, New York, Maryland, and North Carolina, as well as crew from across the Midlands, including Horry County, Greenville, Charleston, and Anderson County. South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and Task Force 1 search and rescue crew came to the procession to honor Muller before heading back to work at the Tropical Ridge apartment complex where Muller lost his life. Irmo Fire's Assistant Chief of Operations, Sloan Valentino, said Muller's death has hit him hard.
I was in a dark place. I have been since Friday night when I was at the hospital with Jay. So I don't know how much of it I paid attention to. There was part of the service I was paying attention to, and part of the ringing in my ears, and part of the soundtrack in my head of who Jay was and who what he meant to us. I have a million ways to remember James. I have not been able to distill that down to one. James left everything better than he found it, and that is the best way I have right now to sum up who he was.
During the ceremony, speakers shared about what Muller was like. They talked about his passion for his job, his love for his family, and his strong faith. Firefighters from all over played bagpipes and drums in a pipe band to honor Muller. Crews from all over the Midlands have stepped in to help out the Irmo Fire Department as they mourn the loss. Chief Valentino says that the crew is expected to get back to work on Saturday. Reporting live in Irmo, Sam Perez, News 19 WLTX. Darcy, back to you.
Sam, thank you so much. There has been an outpouring of compassion from the community since Muller's death, and that could be seen along the route that took his body to today's funeral service as people stood along the road to see the procession. News 19's Peyton Lewis continues our team coverage. She reports from one stretch of that path.
I'm here outside the Kaufman Harmon Funeral Home in Lexington, where the final journey for the body of firefighter James Muller began earlier today. His journey was from here all the way to the church where his funeral was held, and it went down North Lake Drive, where I was at about 1:30 when the procession came through, where people lined the streets to pay their final respects.
Everybody should be lined up. And we're here to pay our respects, me and my wife. And we're gonna stand out here and put our hands over our heart and pay our respects. He was 25, yep, he was a young man. I mean, that's gotta hurt his family and his friends. In fact, my grandson, he's a firefighter, and my understanding is that he went hunting with this young man. So they went hunting together. And my grandson, he's 19 years old. So This can happen to anybody at any time. They have a lot of training that they go through, but sometimes even the training doesn't help, and things do happen. But you just have to show respect, and I'm sure God will take care of them.
And we found out the funerals today, and we want to pay our respects. I have 2 brothers, Johnny and Kirk, that are firemen, 2 cousins, Curtis and Cece, and then I lost a cousin, and I think it was 1994, Billy Bridges. I'm a combat veteran, I was Marine infantry. Unfortunately, people die, and just young man, he I liked his mustache. I saw the picture, I can't grow a mustache. But I just feel sorry for him. I mean, he did something he loved. He very passionate about firefighting. He loved it.
And donations are still being accepted by the Irmo Fire Foundation in honor of Muller and his service to the fire squad there in Irmo. If you would like to make a donation, you can visit our website, WLTX.com, for more information. Reporting in Lexington, Peyton Lewis, News 19 WLTX.
Peyton, thank you so much. And as for that fatal fire that happened on Friday evening, 12 units at the Tropical Ridge Apartments in Columbia were damaged, with 19 people being displaced. Columbia Richland Fire Chief Aubrey Jenkins says further investigation into the cause of the fire may have to wait until the partially collapsed structure can be stabilized. Now, to learn more about this fire and about firefighter James Muller and how you can support his family, we have links to all of our continued coverage on our website at WLTX.com.
Well, you're taking a live look right now over Williams-Brice Stadium, where cloud coverage just didn't want to give up all throughout the day, but the weather is a lot better right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte, and the clouds are still sticking around, but temperatures were not that bad. Now, we did start off a low of 67 degrees, did manage to reach a high of 79, so we got a little more sunshine into the afternoon. And right now, it is still mostly cloudy. Temperature over the capital city, 76 degrees. Now, what we're expecting for the forecast for tonight will be mostly cloudy again. We're looking at a low of 64 degrees. And by the afternoon, again, more cloud coverage as we warm up to a high of 81. Now, if you're heading down to the beach tomorrow, well, temperatures are not going to be that bad. Upper 70s to low 80s, still the cloud coverage, but the ocean temperature, a pleasant 71. What is it like for the weekend? We'll take a look at that forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Chief, thank you. Convicted double murderer Alec Murdaugh pled not guilty today on federal money laundering and wire fraud charges, but his attorneys say that plea could change down the road. They did not elaborate. Murdaugh is serving a life sentence for killing his wife and his son. A federal guilty plea to the charges at least carry 20 years in prison and would almost guarantee a long prison stay, even if his pending appeals on the murder convictions are successful.
Funeral services are now set for 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton. The teenager was shot and killed this past weekend outside of a Columbia gas station. The store owner, 58-year-old Rick Chow, has been charged with murder and is being held at the Richland County Jail. Now, visitations for Cyrus will take place at Levy's Funeral Home on Friday from 3 until 6. His funeral is on Saturday at noon at the Second Nazareth Baptist Church on Elmwood Avenue.
At the request of Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Governor McMaster is sending South Carolina National Guard troops to the southern border. The mission of the South Carolina Guardsmen remains in the planning phase tonight. The exact details, including the number of troops, will be finalized in the coming weeks, with the goal of leaving for the border by July the 1st.
A Columbia resident has launched a fundraiser to open an LGBTQ bookstore. News 19's Becky Buds has the story.
When customers shop at Queer Haven Books online, owner Baker Rogers hope they'll find themselves reflected on the pages.
We're going to sell books and gifts and games and everything that are created by and for queer people.
Rogers launched the company in April with the goal of being a safe haven for the LGBTQ community and beyond.
Also, we define queer more broadly. On our website, I define it as anything that's against isms, phobias, and discrimination and violence in our society.
Rogers has launched a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter to raise $50,000 to open a brick-and-mortar store. As of May 31st, the store has raised $11,600 from 142 backers.
Hopefully we make that. If we don't, we're still going to get this store up and running. It just might not be this year.
Right now, Rogers is eyeing a 1,200 square foot property in North Main. Rogers sees the store as being a welcoming space where people can support each other and organize.
We have other places in town like the Harriet Hancock Center that has a lot of great resources, but one center is not enough for the whole queer community.
Queer authors like Shannon Ivey say they are excited for the impact this store could have.
Any successful business is good for business. So a successful queer business, it just means that there's more and more opportunity for other queer creatives and entrepreneurs.
Between book bans and legislation to limit drag shows and restrict transgender health care, Rogers says this space is needed now more than ever.
As a community that has been discriminated against, it's a community with hope and pride that is going to continue to stand up against violence and discrimination for all people.
Reporting in Columbia, Becky Buds, News 19 WLTX.
Rogers hopes to have the brick-and-mortar store open by the end of the year. Tomorrow is the beginning of LGBTQ Pride Month. It's celebrated each year in the month of June to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan. Celebrations include parades and picnics and parties. The purpose of the month is to recognize LGBTQ individuals for their impact on history. Meanwhile, Outfest will take place Saturday at noon in the Vista. The event focuses on the LGBTQ plus community here in Columbia, where they will showcase local talent, vendors, and businesses.
Claflin University has been awarded a $440,000 grant from the U.S. Education Department. The university is going to use that money to hire a licensed clinical social worker, as well as to support training focused on stress reduction. They will also start workshops to identify signs of distress in students and co-workers. Over the Colonial Life Arena today, Lexington Richland District 5 held graduation ceremonies. Chapin High School students graduated bright and early this morning. Dutch Fork students walked across the stage shortly after lunchtime, with Irmo holding their ceremony late this afternoon. Tomorrow, Spring Hill will hold their graduation ceremony. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, bright and early this morning.
And then after that, we've got Richland 2 graduations on Thursday and on Friday.
All right, weather-wise, how's the weekend shaping up? Well, we're going to find out in just a moment. Our chief meteorologist, Efren Afonte, he's got the full details on what to expect in just a moment.
Welcome back to News 19 at 6. I'll tell you, those clouds this morning, I mean, it was everywhere in South Carolina, but at least as we started off this evening, the skies will start to clear off very nicely, especially along the coast for Beaufort, Charleston, even down in Georgetown. They've got a lot of sunshine, and it's starting to clear very nicely. And the Gamecock City, where temperature is sitting right now at 78 degrees. Same thing as well as in Orangeburg. Florence is at 79, Charleston at 77. It's currently 72 in Greenwood and 74 in Greenville. Now the dew points are in the low to mid 60s, so it's getting a little bit sticky, but not really getting. It's been like this now for pretty much this entire week. Weather pattern, well, the front that kind of went through overnight last night is really falling apart. There's no surface features at all really within the tri-state. A couple of showers and thunderstorms in southern Georgia, but what we're going to be experiencing is that we'll still have the cloud coverage as we go into tomorrow morning, and the clouds will stick around through pretty much most of the morning. By midday, though, we'll start seeing a little bit of sunshine come through, and not expecting any rain at all, but the clouds are going to be persistent right through tomorrow night. So here's our forecast. To start off the morning, low temperatures expected in the low to mid 60s. And then tomorrow, with the cloud coverage and northeast winds, still temperatures are going to be pretty much what we had today in the upper 70s down to the low 80s. Now keep in mind, yes, there's going to be a lot of cloud coverage, but there's going to be a little bit of sunshine. So might want to head down to one of the lakes. Lake Murray, Wateree and Marion temperatures in the low 80s. Winds will be out of the northeast, maybe about 8 knots, but the water temperature delightful, about 67 to 68 degrees. But you're going to need to still wear your sunscreen or sunblock because we're looking at a UV index of 8 without any coverage. About 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your skin pigmentation, you're going to start to fry. Now, these clouds will stick around, and will stick around for a good while. On Friday, mostly cloudy, a high of 85. We'll get to 86 on Saturday. Sunday, 83, maybe an isolated storm, but then a chance on Monday through Wednesday with an afternoon pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Highs will be in the low to mid 80s, but it's going to be humid. And with that saturated air, well, we could see those summertime afternoon pop-up and storms. But at least we're not looking in for Friday. Let's check in with Sports Director Reggie Anderson.
All right, got some baseball coming up on Friday. Gamecocks becoming a regional host once again. Also some college football news next in sports.
And now, the Lexington Medical Center Sports Desk.
Baseball team getting ready for its hosting assignment. It's regional time. Gamecocks face Central Connecticut State Friday night at 7 o'clock at Founders Park. Back in early March when the Gamecocks and Clemson wrapped up their 3-game series, I wonder if the two head coaches knew that come early June, after more than a 3-month marathon, both the Gamecocks and Tigers would be hosting regionals plus Coastal Carolina. That gives the Palmetto State 3 regional host sites. Head coach Mark Kingston understands what that means to have a trio of Palmetto State programs being among the top 16 national seeds.
Well, I think it speaks volumes. Look, to have 3 host teams and have none in Georgia, have none in Texas, it just speaks to the high school baseball in this state, the travel baseball. It speaks to the talent and the players growing up. Look, it's a state that loves their baseball, and right now having 3 hosts, I think, shows that we're pretty good in baseball as well.
Yeah, that is the most in the country. You know, we've seen Founders Park rocking this year when they swept Florida, but the Gamecocks have gone 5-13 since that late April weekend, but they're hoping to return to form and advance to the Super Regionals for the first time since Mark Kingston's first year in Columbia. Hey, we now know the kickoff times for Carolina's first 3 games of 2023. The season opener in Charlotte will kick off at 7:30 at Bank of America Stadium. The following week, the home opener with Furman, also a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. So 2 night games to kick off 2023 for the Gamecocks. Of course, yesterday it was announced that the SEC opener in Athens against the Georgia Bulldogs will be a 3:30 game here on CBS and WLTX. Kickoff times for Clemson's first 3 games are out. The season opener at Duke on Monday, September 4th, will kick off at 8. The home opener on September 9th in the Valley against Charleston Southern. That kicks off at a 2:15 time. Pretty sure that's the first 2:15 kickoff time that I can remember. And then the following week, September 16th, the Tigers will host Florida Atlantic under the lights at Death Valley at 8 o'clock. Blackwood product Julian Phillips is staying in the NFL in the NBA draft. Julian spent 1 season at Tennessee where he played in 32 games, starting 25. He averaged 8.3 points and 4.7 rebounds, earned a spot on the SEC All-Freshman team. He's had a lot going on these last few weeks. He entered the NBA draft. He was invited to the draft combine. Then in mid-May, he announced he was entering the NCAA transfer portal, which seemed to suggest that he would at least play 1 more year in college. But on this, the final day, collegiate players could withdraw from the NBA draft while maintaining their college eligibility. Julian Phillips out of Blythewood turning pro, so good luck to him. We'll be tracking his progress as he embarks on an exciting chapter in his career, and we'll be right back.
Well, if you have any plans for tonight, enjoy the weather. It's really not going to be bad other than just a little bit humidity. Over the next few hours, temperatures start trickling down into temperatures in the mid-70s and then into the 60s as we head towards midnight. And then in the morning, mostly cloudy, a low of 64. And despite the cloud coverage tomorrow, we're going to reach a high of 81 degrees.
All right, Efren, thank you so much.
All right, of course, a busy day news-wise here in the Midlands with the funeral of the Irmo firefighter. We have more coverage for you right now posted on our website, WLTX.com. We'll have more tonight on News 19 at 7.
The CBS Evening News is up next.
See you.